Year after year, it becomes easier to get caught off guard by indies that have caught no buzz. There used to be maybe 3 indie standouts per year, and now it's closer to 1 a month. And what a pleasure it is to be blindsided by something so excellent. This year has already seen some personal favourites and personal Game of the Year contenders in Blueprints and Absalom, and it can't hurt to add another to the list. The Seance of Blake Manor takes place in Western Ireland in the late 1890s, at, of course, Blake Manor, a stately manor house turned hotel. You, Declan Ward, are a detective who's been called into the manor anonymously and offered a substantial sum of money to find a missing girl. The hotel is currently hosting the Seance of the Century, attended by a diverse and eclectic bunch of mystical practitioners and enthusiasts from different faiths, cultures, countries of origin, and dispositions. Each of them is treated with respect. No single region's folklore is treated as correct or superior in another. In fact, the game kind of treats them as if they're all correct. Voodoo, Druidism, Tarot, ghosts, Enochian magic, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, all of it, and more under one roof. Every single guest, member of staff, and even the hosts have their own stories to unravel and mysteries to solve. Some intermingle and intersect with others, leading you to untangle a larger web. Some are standalone. There are 25 of them in total, and this is where the game's core strength lies. Most of these mysteries, on their own, are great, but some of them are actually amazing, and I can't really tell you much about them without spoiling them, but they're so incredibly well put together. Your method for solving them involves a couple of different things. First, talking to them directly in fully voiced, choice-based conversations, where you get to ask them about basically any topic you've learned about. Some will provide insight about themselves, either knowingly or by accident, but they all love a little bit of gossip and will gladly spill information about other guests, if you ask them the right questions. You can also eavesdrop on the guests and the staff, having conversations with each other, which tend to be a little more candid than when they're talking to you. And the final method for solving these mysteries is snooping around their private quarters, reading their correspondence, medical records, research books, poetry, family keepsakes, you name it. Now, while it might sound like a hell of a lot to keep track of, the game very neatly sorts every single important and some less important pieces of information you learn about the overarching mystery of the missing girl and everybody's personal mystery. It's all stored within individual mind maps containing everything pertaining to that particular mystery. There's a separate menu for conversation topics and who you can ask about what. For example, there's no point in asking a guest who's just arrived about the financial state of the manor, but the staff on the other hand might know a thing or two. There's another menu for everybody's personal timetable, assuming you've snooped on their schedule. That same menu includes events happening at the manor, breakfast, dinner times, and most importantly, talks hosted by the other guests. These talks give you an opportunity to listen to some interesting history about the manor, the area, different types of magic, Ireland as a whole at the time, etc. The hidden bonus is that they gather a number of different people in one room, so you don't need to go searching for them. All at the low cost of some in-game time. Time, in the Seance of Blake Manor, works a little bit differently, for the purposes of gameplay at least. You have 3 days to solve as many of these mysteries as you can, and solve the grand mystery of the missing girl. But time only advances when you do something. This isn't a time only moves when you do situation like Superhot, but instead, the clock moves forward 1 minute for everything you inspect, read, or ask. Let's say there's a talk on in the drawing room at 3 PM, and it's currently 2 PM. You can run around as much as you want without any time passing at all. But if you read a letter or crack a safe or what have you, time will advance by 1 minute. So you can fit 60 whole actions within every hour. So if you're like me, and when the game begins to explain this mechanic, you begin to get some sort of anxiety, rest assured you have bags of time, as long as you're not inspecting every jack-o'-lantern and innocuous wall decoration. I finished every mystery in the game with time to spare without using a guide, except for one bug I encountered which has since been fixed. Now, my one and only gripe and I admit it is basically self-made. I wanted to try to use the mind map system as little as possible, instead relying on manually taking some notes. Ever since Blueprints, it just feels like the far better way of interacting with these games. I much prefer it to tabbing in and out of and scrolling through menus, and this works for a while, but eventually you hear a conversation between some staff about where all of the master keys are located, and all but one or two of them are accessible immediately. So after collecting them, you suddenly go from having access to less than a handful of guest rooms to having access to all of them. You will be absolutely inundated with information about everyone all at once. Unless, of course, you manually pace yourself, which can be difficult to do when a number of the mysteries are so interwoven. So my note-taking went out of the window. So while ultimately I do enjoy this game more than I did Blueprints, I do wish they took a leaf from their book and drip-fed information just a little bit slower. Now while I'm far from a game dev, it's a nice little thought experiment to think about how you would remedy some of the pain points you encounter in a game. And here's how I might solve this one. Firstly, not give all of the information about master key locations at once. I would separate them out over 2 to 3 eavesdrops, so more than one day. Secondly, and this one is a pretty big change, I would only have around half of the guests present on day 1, and the other half arriving the following morning. The master keys you find on day 1 will correspond with the guests who've already arrived, allowing you to sink your teeth into their mysteries, and even solve a couple of them. A couple would need to be as of yet impossible to complete, until the person whose mysteries intermingled with theirs arrives. And to compensate for this, I would extend the in-game time frame by 1 day from 3 to 4. Now obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about. The slower pace might drive some people away. The devs made these systems to be interacted with and relied on, not ignored by an idiot like me, but it's fun to think about nonetheless. This is one of those rare games where every moment I wasn't playing it, I was thinking about it. There's a handful of the game's mysteries that I solved in the mundane moments of life. I would connect dots and have these lightbulb moments where everything just clicked into place. And thanks to the simplicity of its control, it is basically one step above a point and click, this game fits very well into the rare category of I could recommend this to someone as their first game. But honestly, I would recommend it to anyone. Do you like mysteries, folklore, history, period pieces, intriguing characters, well-written stories about grief, blood curses, angels, fraud, legacy, tradition versus modernity, ghosts, spiritualism, whatever it is, the Seance of Blake Manor has it. If one or any combination of those things has caught your attention, you have to jump in. If you're like me and a massive weenie who avoids spooky games, don't worry. While a little unsettling at times, there's nothing that's going to jump out at you or chase you around. In fact, you won't even see an NPC move. They turn to face you as you get close, but that's all. To the visitors of Blake Manor, spirits and ghosts are as mundane as dust bunnies, ever present and not to be feared. So take a leaf from their book, and don't worry, their existence around the manor grounds is no threat. Leave the wee folk to their business. Now go and enjoy a standout game in a year of standout games. The unabashedly Irish and deeply satisfying Seance of Blake Manor.